Welcome to the Lower Macungie Township Board of Commissioners Workshop for February 23rd. Could you please join me for a pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Number 2, review draft resolution and plan for NP Land Holdings Land Development Plan. And I see Nate is going to take this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So for NP Land Holdings, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this at their last meeting. We have a draft resolution here before you this evening. With respect to the project, to give everybody a little bit of background on it, this has been with the township now for about a year. Renee, if you wouldn't mind putting up the Google map, I'd like to give everybody a heads up about where this is in the township. It's on Industrial Park Way, which is a pre-existing subdivision and land development from years ago, which is right off of Albertus Road and Shannick Road. The empty lot there actually is not empty. It has the stormwater management basins for the Industrial Parkway development there at the where you see the cul-de-sac. So those basins handle the water from Sherwin-Williams and several other users on that road. The proposed use is a spec light industrial use on a 55,000 square foot building on the lot. The other most important thing I should note with this is a site that we have worked with for a number of years now, where numerous uses have come in. At one point, there was a proposal for a refurbishment of tractor trailers. At another point, there was a proposal for natural gas management for fleet. And we also had an educational use proposed there. So this is actually a light industrial use proposed in a light industrial park that has come forward to us after several years of different types of proposals. It's in the Orlick district, which is office research light industrial. So again, this is in our heaviest industrial zone. It's generally served for offices, research, or in this case, light industrial, light manufacturing. And with that, I would note that the Planning Commission in their recommendation had several recommendations that have made their way into the draft resolution. We worked closely with the applicants on items such as landscape architecture, choosing the right plants, making sure that there was amenity areas for workers on the site. So you'll see there's a little outdoor dining pavilion there, picnic area. There's also indoor spaces for them as well. We also were very focused on traffic circulation on the site for deliveries, for employees, but also for our emergency management teams. And that has been managed through several rounds of review to make sure that the site can be served both in emergency management and to make sure that deliveries that may come in as part of the use are taken care of as well. And then there was a significant amount of time discussed, and I'll let Mr. McAdams speak about it, with respect to stormwater and management on the site, because this is right up the street, right up the road from the creek. And we did work with the applicants to ensure that the basins that are existing are going to be naturalized per township ordinance, which will help towards water quality for the creek. We did review the architecture for the building for compliance with our design guidelines, and the renderings were found to be compliant. They're utilizing multiple materials, multiple colors. So as you drive by on the street, you will see a more modern looking building. Thanks, Renee. That's the landscape architecture plan. We did work very closely to make sure that there were no large trees that would potentially block vehicle circulation on the site, but also would provide adequate buffering. And then last but not least, get that aesthetic view from the street. I should also note that there is walking trail along the street there, and there is going to be sidewalk and crosswalk connectivity for along Albertus Road. And that should ensure that those who are walking along Albertus have safe refuge going either towards Hills at Lockridge or along the road if they wish to walk. So I'm happy happy to answer any other questions you might have, but I would like to hand it over to Mr. McAdam to speak about any few of the other technical items that were reviewed during the course of study and review for this plan.
Thanks, Nate. If the board recall, and Nate mentioned that there's 3 existing detention basins on the site. 2 of them are going to effectively remain intact. Where'd they go? Oh, yeah, the plan would have been fine, Renee. Anyway, of the 3 basins, 1 is going to be enlarged and basically modified to handle all of the on-site runoff that's being created. The other 2 are going to have very minor changes made. We have gone back and forth with the applicant's engineer on this, on the stormwater stuff quite a bit, and at this point, I do still want some clarifications, but conceptually, what's been presented is I feel comfortable with that I can basically say we can work these things out. We had gotten a submission at the end of January that our office is in the midst of reviewing. We are almost done. I wanted to make sure I was in a position tonight to discuss discuss what's been resubmitted. I certainly don't want to go into dramatic technical detail, but suffice to say that the majority of the concerns that we had originally have been addressed. So I'm comfortable with, again, conceptually comfortable with what's been proposed. We're going to need a little bit of cleanup, but all in all, I can say that what's proposed will absolutely manage all of the increased impervious surface from the proposed project, and we will continue to work with the applicant's engineer to get everything straightened out.
All right, is that it, Nate?
Yeah, if you have any questions for us, we're happy to field them at this point in time. It's a relatively simple proposal, but we want to make sure that we answer any questions and also provide as much detail as possible as you prepare to make your contemplation on the draft resolution before you this evening.
All right, any questions from the board?
Yeah. Okay, basically, Brian, your letter had a lot of comments associated with stormwater.
Yes.
And it seemed like most of it was just reconciliation type calculations and so forth. And so you're fairly comfortable with the stormwater portion of it?
Yes, I am.
And there was in the submission in January, was there a traffic report that you were expecting, or?
Not necessarily, no. This is basically an infill lot for this industrial park, and any improvements that would have been expected by this project would have been addressed with the original subdivision. There is a traffic impact fee that's been referenced in the review, or it should have been. If it's not, it will be in the future, in the next letter. But yeah, I mean, traffic-wise, I'm comfortable with what's going on.
Okay.
We did not feel that a traffic study was necessary for this because of the nature of the lot and the other improvements that had already been made.
The traffic impact fee, actually, Maury, is $76,800. It just wasn't in. I didn't have it at the time I drafted that draft resolution, so that's why it was
just a line
blank in there. Yeah, it's $76,800, and it's 30 p.m. peak trips, 25, the $2,560 per peak trip, peak PM.
All right, any more questions? Commissioner Bosak.
Yeah, just a follow-up, I guess, on the runoff and the water. What do we expect, because we're adding more impervious surface there with both the roof and the parking lot? Is that, I mean, that's all factored into the stormwater management? I mean, I guess any concerns in adding more stuff there? Do we expect any runoff to go on the road, or, you know?
No, I'm comfortable with what's proposed, and the basin that runs parallel to Shannick Road, that is being expanded, I would say, to roughly twice the size that it currently is, Alan.
Yes.
And it's designed in such a way that the discharge will be completely through infiltration. And so the way the design has evolved, they will not have a gravity discharge on a day-to-day basis. The water that's being stored will be pumped over to that lower left-hand side of the parcel, where it will basically be subject to a spray irrigation methods, and that will handle all of the runoff from the site. We were concerned about the possibility of, wow, that's unusual because we don't usually have that for anything other than volume control and water quality. In this case, the nature of the site and the fact that they can have everything be effectively self-contained, they only have to deal with their own impervious. So the expansion of that existing basin gives them sufficient volume, not just for the 100-year storm that would be expected, but for a back-to-back 100-year storm and then a little bit more. In addition, as with any spray irrigation system, there are provisions for winter discharge. So that will be handled. That has been factored in with the calculations that have been provided. And should flows be generated such that the back-to-back 100-year storms still need more of something, there are gravity discharge options, orifices in the proposed outlet structure, so that it's kind of like there's a belt and suspenders component to the way this has been designed. So all of the new impervious will get into that basin that I keep referring to. It happens to be Basin D. Everything from the site will get into that. The two basins in front are the kind of like tail end of all of the other stormwater management for the rest of the industrial park. That was part of the analyses that they had prepared. And they effectively go into existing storm sewer systems. There is a reduction. Because of the way the spray irrigation is going to happen with Basin D, it will not introduce any direct runoff into the storm sewer system. So at the very least, it's kind of nice to have that reduction all by itself. It's an interesting way to handle it, but we're comfortable with the information that's been provided.
Okay, and none of that will go to the creek then?
I'm sorry?
The expectation is none of that would go directly to the creek?
Well, the flows all eventually do get to the creek.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure what you mean.
That's okay. Yep. Thanks for
It
clarification.
will put this way. Everything generated on the site because of the new impervious will be effectively managed and address the ordinance requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so if I could just add a couple of things. One, talking about the stormwater, some of the site now actually drains towards Albertus Road and goes in the swale and down directly into the pipe there and goes down into the creek. So this development actually takes some of that runoff, prevents it from going to Albertus Road, and puts it into that basin that Engineer McAdam was talking about on the right side over along Shannock. So there's less water that's coming to that infrastructure there than what is today after the proposed improvement. As far as the traffic goes, we had done a study that involved 3 different intersections and showed that we're not making any meaningful negative impact anywhere on those, so that it goes to the traffic impact fee of the $7,600-ish. Or, so, yeah, move the decimal place, point. As far as the stormwater is concerned, I'm happy to say that the project did receive their NPDES permit within the last week. That was just issued, I believe, last Thursday. So the project has had, forward momentum, not just on the township side here, but also the outside agencies. So everyone's excited to see all that come together.
All right. Any more?
Sorry, I just have some more, just so I understand. What kind of manufacturing companies would you target with this instead of the spec property? I know there were some general ones, but do you have any examples?
Yeah, I mean, we recently met with a metal manufacturing user. There's also a pharma user that has showed
Can you pull the microphone closer just so that everyone can hear?
Yeah. Do you need me to repeat any of them? We have had discussions with a metal manufacturing group as well as a pharmaceutical group, and we're targeting users that are within the uses approved in the ordinance, making sure, we have received inquiries on distribution. We said that's not permitted at the site, so go find someplace else.
Okay. Without knowing the user, how do you project the traffic?
You use the ITC codes, traffic
Okay.
use codes.
And would you expect this as a 24/7 operation? It's day shift only, multiple shifts, but only Monday to Friday. What would the expectation be?
You could see anywhere from a single shift to 2 shifts. We don't expect a user of this size, based on our experience, to run multiple shifts. More than 2, even if they do 2, it's probably limited.
Okay. And then how many docks are you adding here for trucks?
There's 6 docks.
6 docks.
Drive in.
Okay. Do you expect the company to store the materials on site or off? Like their raw materials and or finished goods?
They would probably be bringing the raw materials in, process them, and then a lot of the users that we're talking to have mentioned that they only have small box trucks going out to their end user, and that they, as soon as a product comes off the product line, they're pretty much shipping it out. So storage is very limited.
Okay.
Anything else?
Good, thanks.
Do you know how many employees you expect to have?
We don't, but I believe we had used an assumption based on the square footage. I think it was,
And I'm asking this in a positive way because it just means jobs, which is good. And then referencing the 2 shifts, even 3 shifts would mean jobs, which is good.
Yeah, I
So
don't,
hopefully it takes off.
And I mean, on that note, like, would you expect them to be high-paying jobs, or what would the expectation be on that?
usually manufacturing pays fairly well. I believe that average that Lehigh Valley Planning Commission put out was light manufacturing has an average household income of $100,000 a year. So, let's hope for that, for sure.
All right, that's all I had. I have a question for Brian. There's a waiver, 29D, and I'm not questioning it. Just the reasoning for it. Over the years, there's been a lot of debate about this, using concrete versus HDPE pipes. And what reminded me of this, and maybe I shouldn't bring it up, I talked to Doug Brown today, and he was one person that did not like substituting anything where it called for concrete. So this is a waiver, so could you give me your thoughts on it?
Yeah, the requirement for concrete pipe we are consistent with that when piping is proposed in township roads. But for on-site private projects, we're typically more agreeable to using high-density polyethylene. There's a lot of, I don't want to sound like a salesman for that kind of pipe, but there's a time and place where concrete is better. Particularly, like I said, in township roads, we certainly would not be okay with the waiver. For private projects, HDPE pipe, specifically smooth bore, it comes with gaskets, just like a O-ring concrete pipe. So there's not a matter, no concern about leakages at the joints. You can put in larger pipe sections, like concrete pipe comes in 8-foot sections basically. HDPE generally comes in a 20-foot section. So right off the bat, there's less joints that you have to worry about, any cracks, leaks, whatever. It is an approved pipe material by PennDOT. So it's years ago, I think there was a lot of reluctance to use it. And yet, as time has gone by, it's become a much more accepted pipe material for storm sewer. I don't recall when Doug, I mean, I'm here 6 years-ish. I know Doug was on the board just before me. I don't know if his feelings changed about HDP or not recently, but like I said, it's really come a long way from when it was first introduced to the industry.
I don't know if they changed either. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
It just reminded me, and Mr. Fornwall can remember the discussions about it.
But just in general, it's particularly for use on private sites. I feel it comfortable suggesting that it's an approved PennDOT material. It's their site. They're responsible for ownership and maintenance. If we had concerns about cover and possibly having to go with concrete pipe because of cover issues, we would raise that concern.
And I only brought it up because we're given a waiver for it.
No, I understand.
I
understand.
And the karst report, did that come back? And I asked that question because, again, years ago in that area, we had some negative reports.
Yep,
And Len, if you could give a brief description, unless everybody's familiar with what that means. I mean, like a 3-sentence description, if that's possible.
I don't know if I could do it in 3 sentences. I think
or how about 4 sentences?
I tend to be a little wordy. I would rather defer and let Alan answer that. I will say that based on the information that was originally submitted, we did have some questions. They did do a follow-up study.
There was some. Okay, Alan,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can keep it to 4 sentences, but the history behind this site is there was some material moved in the lower left corner, which kind of maybe looks like what it isn't as far as a karst concern. And the other locations that were flagged on the site were localized movement, digging or whatnot, and some were even groundhog holes or, something that was wildlife related as opposed to a karst feature. So the plans include all of the concerns of how to deal with something if it's found, to take a sinkhole, so to speak, and block it off appropriately. But there's no concerns that came back in the latest report.
Okay, good. I got one last question, and this would be for Mark. For the resolution, I know this is an as-of-right resolution, but there was a lot of talk about signage so the trucks don't come out and hang a right and go into Albertus. So I don't know if we can require, I don't even know if that's a township or state road, Albertus Road, but we'd like to do our best to eliminate tractor trailers going into the town of Albertus.
I mean, I would have to defer to the engineers, traffic engineer and Brian, to determine whether there's required signage. We can, if it's the will of the board to include a condition for their signage on their site to go in and out of the property. That's of course your position, your will to put a condition on it, but it would have to, I'd have to defer to the traffic engineers.
All right, and this is nothing negative with the project. It's just to make it better that we can keep the big trucks out of Albertus, because at one time we really got under Albertus' skin with these trucks going over.
Well, I'll just interject here. Historically, there was some overall large signage that was installed a couple of key places to try to inform those tractor trailers not to go into Albertus. This property has 2 driveways that come out to Industrial Parkway, which is a cul-de-sac. So quite frankly, if they come out and make a left, they can't go anywhere because it's a cul-de-sac. And then they're going to come over to Schanik. And I don't remember exactly where all the signage was placed previously to try to, play wayfinding with tractor trailers. But there are some strategic signs out there. And I know the other thing that was attempted to be done previously was to make sure that each facility such as this that might have tractor trailers coming and going just had an information sheet or something in the area for resting and whatnot, so that the drivers could see overall where they need to go to be able to get to the interstate. And I'm sure something like that could be done here as well. that was kind of, historically, those were the two things that were done. There were some more major signs placed at key points, which I'm not really sure is that germane in this location, just by itself. And also just making sure that there's information to educate the drivers that are from out of town and unfamiliar.
All right. Once again, I'm glad to see jobs come to the area. So if Mark and Kate would agree, if we could word it somehow that we'll make our best effort to put signage up where we can, so trucks do not head to Albertus.
Yeah, so I think the concern is we can't put, there's no point in putting signs on our property because they can only turn onto Independence.
They can't make a right.
No, I'm sorry, Industrial Park, excuse me. Yeah, like
Okay.
if you go out, Renee, can you bring the aerial map?
Kate, I could clarify a little bit just for you. So right
Thank
now
you.
there is preemptive signage on Shannick Road. So
All right.
when you come out Industrial Parkway at the T, there is wayfinding signage that points to Route 100 with a left arrow, right, to get you out to 100. As well as if you make a right onto Shannick, there is preemptive signage that does not allow a left-hand turn trucks over 45. However, if you do make a right on Albertus Road, prior to entering the borough of Albertus, you must make a right onto Quarry Road. So there is preemptive signage. Albertus is a PennDOT road. That sign is in place to their regulations. So there is some wayfinding and preemptive signage now, just for the board's knowledge.
All right, well, it's just, there's nothing wrong with more, improving it. And if we can, we can, and
Yeah,
again,
I think it would make more sense to put the informational, like, paperwork in the building as opposed to on the site, because I think it'd be more confusing if you put something on the site because they're not turning on to Albertus directly or Shonik directly.
Right.
But Mark and I could talk about something informational in the building so that the drivers are aware.
Whatever will help, because we all know how signs work.
Yep.
They don't work too good around here.
And I mean, if we're going to put paperwork in the break room, I mean, I would suggest multiple languages too, whatever the most common languages are for the truck drivers. I know it's not just English, and there are a variety of languages that might be.
And we did do that in the past in the workrooms. And
On the screen right now is the signage that's currently on Shonik. If you were to turn right out of Industrial Parkway, there's
all right.
no trucks.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, I mean, it might be helpful to have that before they make the turn, if there's something that could be put there. Yeah. But, but like trucks, no right turn maybe from Industrial Way.
Well, that's not a restricted movement
Yeah.
because they can
Yeah.
make a right onto Shannick
Yep, that's right.
and then
Okay.
to Albertus.
It does,
But-
and it does say, yeah, okay. No, you're right.
We're
Thank
happy to
you.
put something in the lunchroom, and Mark and I can figure out that language.
Okay, that's all the questions I got. Any additional questions?
I got one follow-up on the wages for the employees. I mean, is it possible to have any requirements for like a minimum wage, average minimum wage?
No.
I'd have to let Mark answer that.
No.
I think we're getting into federal regulations stuff.
I didn't know if that was possible. Okay,
No.
thanks.
Then we're regulating their business, and now we're stepping into some
Okay.
constitutional issues as well.
Thank you.
I just a guess, educated guess, I would believe most of these jobs would be way above it anyway. What you said, metal fabrication, I don't know if it'd be machining or welding or brakes or whatever, but that skill set is going down nowadays, and those jobs, like you said, that number is not a shabby number, what you're expecting, a yearly wage.
Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, that was, not from a user that we're talking to specifically, but that was an average in the manufacturing sector.
Could you pull the mic closer?
Oh, sorry. The data was from Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, which obviously gets a lot of information from the manufacturing sector that's currently in the Lehigh Valley.
I've seen the rate be low for some of the non-skilled positions. That's why I asked that. I mean, from my experience in manufacturing. Yeah, that's
Well,
all.
it's a good question. Did you have a question?
Yes. So you mentioned possible pharmaceuticals, metal. What happens to the water that may have chemicals in it? Like not the sewer water, but like where does that safely go?
So any industrial type manufacturing user that would be utilizing any public sewer would have to adhere to the stipulations of the public water system that's receiving that, and most of them have, and they update them on a regular basis, this like list of protocols of the level the water needs to be treated to prior to entering their system with, and they might also require additional checks and balances before it even enters that system.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Wes?
All right, so I believe this came up at the Planning Commission, and so there's an update to the intersection of Albertus and Shona, correct? As far as pedestrian
Yes.
connectivity.
Could you bring the plan back up quick? Yeah, there's a crosswalk that we've added across Shannick.
Right, I heard that
Parallel
that
to
come up.
Albertus, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean that was mentioned by.
So that was, oh, the plan was there. Yeah, so that plan shows it. There's if you zoom in on the lower right-hand side of the, so you can see those two lines coming across.
Correct.
So there's the connection there with the sidewalk, updated ADA ramp, and a crosswalk that goes across Shannick Road. So yes.
Correct. So it's a slightly improved. I mean, I know there is stuff there now, but there's it's improving what's already there. Correct.
Correct.
Okay. So as you travel, anyone that walks or runs or bikes or any of those things, there is a walking path that exists almost the entirety of Albertus Road. A great improvement. It's not an area that's great for walking, but if you've left the neighborhood, this trail is safe. However, when it leaves your property, and I know you don't have jurisdiction over this, but when it leaves your property, it more or less dead ends and then skips over a small property, which I believe the address is 7555 Albertus Road. Have you had any discussions with them at all? No discussions? Because I thought that came up at the Planning Commission. I could be wrong about creating connectivity to that. I'm not sure what the warehouse property's address is, but it's the next property. It's probably about 100 foot. I could be grossly underestimating that, but Renee, if you're trying to find it, it's on Albertus Road at the end of their property before you get to the warehouse.
So I'm not sure whether they have a deferral or anything there on that one. That would be something that I think the township would have to take up. But my recollection on the Planning Commission was that it was a connectivity across the street on the other side, which we took care of with the crosswalk, unless my memory doesn't serve me correctly.
Okay. And I guess mine is extending, is if you've had a conversation, is there any willingness? No conversation. I'm sorry?
No conversation.
No conversation. Is there a willingness to have a conversation to put that in to create connectivity?
Not at this point.
Got it.
Is that it? Wes?
That is it.
All right. Any more questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? All right. Well, any questions from Kate?
I have no question.
All right.
Can I follow up on that? What was the resistance?
I'm sorry?
What was the resistance to initiate on the connectivity of the path?
So I agree with Alan. It should be more of the township looking to see if there was a deferral given at some point in time that would require, that the township could go in and require the developer to install that, rather than this developer having to, because they're not going to do it on their own. So
Yeah.
let's say we ask them, but now we're paying for a connection, which more than likely the employees at that site aren't going to use, because I don't think anybody really is walking back there. So it's just an added expense that,
I understand that. I mean, I look at any opportunity to improve the community. I know you're focused on your project. This would be an opportunity for the exchange of you're building a property in a wonderful community. This is the give back is why I asked that question. I understand it. Bruce, if we can look in to see if there is a deferral on that
Yeah, we'll check the
property.
plan.
All right, do the clients have any questions? None? All right,
Okay.
well, that would it. That's a wrap. Thank
Wrap?
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, item number 4. Let's see, where are we at? 3? Number 3.
How about 3?
3. I got my finger on it. Review of sewage facilities planning module for Spring Creek Estates expansion. And this is for Vince.
Yep, thank you, President Beitler. So this is a sewage facility planning module for Spring Creek Estates 2022 land development modification. This is currently a recorded plan that has a previously recorded plan, has 2 4-unit townhouse buildings that are fully occupied. And the developer proposed modification of the plan to add a 3rd 4-unit townhouse to the development. And that modification received conditional approval on August 21st of 2025. As part of that process, the applicant has to purchase additional allocation of 4 EDUs. And they must receive approval from DEP in order to revise the Township's official Act 537 plan. So this proposed sewer connection will be to the existing public sewer where they have already tied into Danner Road. And that existing main line is operated by Lower Macungie Township, which will ultimately be conveyed to the Kleins Island wastewater treatment plant. This is a standard sewer planning module, so I'd be happy to answer any questions if the board has any.
I have none. Any questions from the board? Any from the audience? I don't think anyone has anything for you, Vince.
Okay.
Engineer McAdam, you have anything to add?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do not. Typically, for planning modules, when these recommendations get to the board, they've already been discussed between Zach Graves and our office, so we've already reviewed flows and things like that. So no, I'm good. Once it gets to this level, we've already looked at it and agreed that it's okay.
Okay, moving on. Now number 4.
All right, thank you. Again, this is the second sewage facilities planning module tonight. This is for 2545 Riverbend Road. This proposes a new sanitary sewer connection which will eliminate a current on-lot septic system. So this applicant is proposing to demolish an existing single-family dwelling, construct a new single-family dwelling on the property. The reason for that is they are removing the existing house out of the floodplain and building a new house. So as part of that process, they are purchasing an EDU and would like to connect to the sewer system. Again, same form as the last planning module. This is connecting into main line owned by and operated by the township, and ultimately will be conveyed to Kleins Island wastewater treatment plant. So again, would be happy to answer any further questions. And like Engineer McAdam said, this was reviewed by staff and CKS.
Any questions for Vince? From anyone? And I'm sure the owners are happy to be hooking up to the sewer.
Yes, they are.
Instead of the septic.
And the township is as well.
Yeah.
Anytime we can get an on-lot into the system, it's a goal of DEP.
Especially in an area that floods like it does.
Yeah, that area is prone to that, so yeah.
All right, we're going to jump to number 6, manager updates. Bruce.
Thank you. I have several items this evening, just to update the board on, some on the agenda, and then just other updates on other things as well. That first item, so we've talked a lot about our opportunities for updating our comprehensive recreation plan. The plan is fairly old now. I believe it was 2013 when it was last revised. With that, we were successful in receiving a grant from the DCNR to update this plan. And the first part of our process was to set out and advertise to accept proposals for firms that may be interested in doing this kind of work. So we did go out until February 13th. We received 5 responses. Because this is grant funded, we're taking a little bit of a pause here, making sure we complete all of our grant required paperwork prior to committing the township to spending any money or engaging in the project. That's just the rules of the grant. But our next steps would be we're going to internally evaluate the 5 responses, try to find the best company and the best proposal for what we're looking for, and then narrow that field, bring a potential back to the board. You would need to allow us to engage them in the process. So once we get the green light kind of from DCNR, I think we'll probably need at least a month or 2 to get that vetted out and bring back a recommendation to everybody. As part of this process, it's ranging anywhere in the proposals from 9 months to 13 months to go from the ground up to do this. One of the areas that we've stressed of importance is that resident interaction and engagement. So there is various things that we've looked at in our request for proposal, including survey, community outreach meetings, presentations in front of this board as well as the planning commission, reaching out to stakeholders like LMYA and the lasers, so people that are using our facilities. It's a pretty in-depth process, I guess. I would defer to people that have been on it, that have gone through that. So just wanted to give everybody an update on kind of where we are. We're moving, but now at this point, until we meet our grant side, we're just kind of frozen a little bit. So,
all right.
We'll keep you posted on that. The second one, just wanted to kind of get the board up to speed as well. We have out right now a bid for farming of various township lands, about 158 plus or minus acres. These were part of our acquisitions last year. The township always maintained a farming bid for the other remaining properties. With the addition, we now wanted to go out and formally look at these other places. So we're accepting those bid proposals until February 27th. So would like to recommend back to the board potential award at that first March meeting so that farmers could get started fertilizing and getting their crop ready for the planting season. So we're kind of a little bit in more of a push here. So I wanted to discuss in detail what the proposal means. It is a 1 year with an additional year, so a maximum 2 year from, this period until February of 2028. Our current farm bid that we have for the other acreage was 1 year's with like 4 1-year renewals. So the ending time of this new proposal for half will end when the other half also ends. So then we'll be able to do a full complete proposal for like 300 acres at that point in 2028. So for us, we'll have to manage 2 different vendors potentially, or it might be the same vendor. We're trying to get to the point where we get to 1 at some point in that 2028 section, knowing that we have some additional legwork to manage additional vendors, invoice additional vendors, and have these bid management of two proposals. So that's where we're going. We're hoping to bridge that gap. So 4 vendors so far have taken proposals. Like I said, we'll get prepared at the end of Friday a proposal with the values that the potential vendor has bid. We'll take the highest, most responsible, and then we'll have a letter for your packet for next week. So if there's any questions, I do have one of the copies of the proposal. If anybody wants to see that, it has the lands in there identified. in case there's questions or you just kind of want to see what the proposal looks like. So that's what has to be returned to the township with values. So that's where we are on that. Yeah, sure.
Are these local farmers, or could it be anyone?
It can be anyone. There are some local farmers with interest. Our current vendor is actually from North Whitehall. They've been in since, like I said, 2023. So there's opportunity out there. We're hopeful that people are interested in coming to bid. So, our budget right now, I can say on our first, our current proposal with our land, we're about 58,000 in receipts to the township for the lands that we have under contract. So we expect to, I'm hopeful that we'll be at least in that ballpark of where we are for the other half. So, yeah. We have no requirement though that requires them to be a local bidder or anything, so that we can get the most opportunity out there for us.
Okay, any questions for Bruce? I have a question,
Yeah.
and it's for future projects. This is not from past, but it was mentioned the other night at the meeting by Maury. The township has been arguing with PennDOT against grade separations. And he mentioned Kressler Road. And then Maury mentioned PennDOT is holding a position, grade separation as the only solution. And when I heard this and I went home and it bugged me that I just totally missed this with the township being here. And Maury must have picked it up somewhere, because you even had details on elevation, the pipes 5 foot above the, and I, just to be clear, I transparent, I called Higgins up, Shoemaker and Ward, and I says, when did I miss this? What was I doing? And they just didn't know nothing about it either. So maybe Bruce or Maury, you can tell me where this, when these discussions went on, just so I could educate myself on what I missed.
So I can give you background, and we can talk a little bit more in depth about specifically the Lehigh Valley Town Center project, which is the Kressler Road area interchange where the weave is. So some background, of course, the LVTC, Lehigh Valley Town Center, did receive an approval for the Topgolf component of that. As we've seen, third-party required permitting is PennDOT. So one of the areas that PennDOT, through their part of this process, knowing where they are with the weave, they've worked and required the developer to come up with multiple solutions to potentially address the area of this interchange. So the developer started with a regular traffic adjustment plan for various lanes in the area of Kressler and opportunities of exit from the Route 78 corridor. PennDOT refused to give very much advice or guidance onto where or what they were going to require for the intersection. They informed the developer to just create a submission and they would review it. So with that lack of guidance, the developer engaged not one but 2 traffic engineering companies, have come up with about, I would say, 20 plus variations.
How many?
Probably 20 plus variations. So many so that the township continues to see them, look at them. However, because there's been no direction from PennDOT, they're taken away by the developer so that they can make sure they get satisfaction. So the developer, asked pretty clearly in meetings what there would be or the demand from PennDOT. PennDOT considers grade separated interchange at that location. However, with a $28 million plus potential project cost there, the developer asked for additional guidance on what PennDOT would want to see so that they could design appropriately where it is. one of the solutions of the probably 20 plus involved a underpass of the bypass to which would be almost a tunnel from the Kressler Road side to the South Cedarbrook area. So this was something that the developer was considering. They don't know if the stormwater and the elevations could actually support where this would be. They're still in a component where we've now seen a grade separated type situation. At various meetings, I've expressed both to the district as well as the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission and their director, Ms. Bradley, that other areas, including, other development and connection to the rest of the valley goes towards the Route 78 corridor, and that, PennDOT should be taking a more proactive role in looking at how to address the intersection as it currently sits, whether the developer is involved or the developer is not involved. To which I was informed that the township should do something where those are two state roadways, and one of them is a federal highway. So there's been ongoing discussions. I'm not sure, why individuals, may or may not know the extent of where it is, but because there's no concrete examples and they keep changing, there hasn't really been a report to the board about where we are in the process. I can say that the developer notified us that they may have a finalized type concept that's going to go to Harrisburg, to the central office, and that maybe they'll get some form of approval. There are components of looking for grant funding as well as other things that might be available in the area. I'm sure some have probably heard about that grant funding, and that could be why the discussion about underpasses or things of that nature may or may have not happened. So just because we're in a holding pattern, I haven't really had anything to report to the board, but when it becomes a reality, we'll have to come back and really give extensive details about where we are. So
is PennDOT holding a position that grade separation is the only solution?
PennDOT is saying that there should be a grade separated interchange at Kressler Road. However, they haven't taken a formal opinion on that. They consider to say, give us a proposal that meets our traffic parameters. And that continues to move. So an under separation, the only thing that they will not do is issue the temporary traffic permit until, as they say, there is a final solution for entire build out. So I can't speak for PennDOT. I'm not going to say that there should be a grade separated interchange, because I don't know. I think that's where they're going, but it's PennDOT.
Okay, it's just I never heard that till last night at the meeting. And Maury, where did you hear that from?
Some of it I got from Bruce.
You got it from Bruce.
Yeah.
Okay, and then one more thing about last night's meeting, and only because my memory is, I guess it ain't what it used to be, but there were letters in 2015, and they were on the World Wide Web today, that Pat Brown and Ryan McKenzie, the township was working with them for grade separations at Kressler and North Crocs. So I guess I was off by a year. But the past 11 years, we've been talking about it, and I guess a question to Bruce is, and you can see I'm going to give you copies of these to look at. You've seen it already. But the name, it's understandable why nobody remembered it if you looked at the copies on the bottom. everybody is gone from that area. But what do you see for the township? Which direction do you want to see them go? Pass that, I don't know if Bruce seen that, pass that down to him. But that was McKenzie and Brown working with the township on that.
For the Kressler Road interchange?
Well, they had it for both interchanges, but the Crocs is done now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, it's going to take significant improvements at the Kressler Road corridor with significant value. So these gentlemen and, their successors are going to have to look to participate. As I said, this should be more of a PennDOT focused project, not to stick up for the developer, but, it's PennDOT's issue. They should be looking on how to address it. So they should be building support from as many people as they should be. And, as I've conveyed to representatives and elected officials at that state level, PennDOT should really reach out to them and express their need for funding, because we don't control those things on the funding side or where that is. So their past, letters or support, I'm sure, as we continue to ask for their support for other things, whether it's our park and recreation grant or significant improvements in the area, they look to get behind these type of ideas. I would say federal highway dollars, which is why the LVPC has a standing as the Lehigh Valley Traffic Study, LVTS. Their role is the funding of areas with federal highway dollars. The township has in the past requested certain things, most recently to this intersection that the township put in the traffic improvement plan that Mr. Jones submitted, as well as some 100 corridor studies, to these groups. However, that LVTS considers what they're going to do with those dollars, whether that's improve Route 33 as they see fit, or build an Adams Road interchange onto 78, or improve the 309 on-ramp. I'm not sure where this falls on their priority list. So I continue to express that it is important that they look at this and move forward with that type of process.
What can the board and or residents do to help this situation?
I think it's always important that, state funding is limited. Getting appropriate dollars directed that way is always a state appropriation. And that's always I would say the highest level. I believe that, key stakeholders realize the township's desire to see something happen there. I can also say, they're involved in the process of looking at Dorney Park as well, and that corridor for the people that own Dorney as well. They're looking at that long-range corridor study. That long-range corridor study may be too late for, the Lehigh Valley Town Center at some point. So hopefully there are strides moving forward at the local, at the local part in the lower Macungie side to do that. So if you're talking $30 million, as the developer has said, they don't have $30 million and they're not willing to put $30 million to that. So what are the other pieces that are going to come? And is that grant money? Like I said, we've asked the question, so there may be some potential transportation funding grant money there. The traffic impact fee, as you heard the other night, directing some of those dollars from the township's traffic impact fee on a state project, is something the board would have to consider and decide at some point if that's worth it to improve the intersection. I think if people are engaged and look at those things, it's that. But I would say until there's an agreement on what it is, it's hard to ask for dollars or anything else, right? If you're going to ask for federal highway dollars or state money and there's no concept plan approved by the central office, it's hard to know what that ask is.
That makes sense.
What was there a response to this?
I don't know, that's, what was it from, 2015?
15.
I just know it, over the past, it's been talked about plenty, and last night I just didn't respond to you once I watched the meeting. When you asked me, when did I hear this, and I owe you an answer.
Sure,
So
great.
this was just that it was going on, and things change. I just don't know, the board's intent was always grade separation. I don't know when it got lost.
Yeah, I think, as we look back through records, on Hamilton Crossings and, the approval from this township on Hamilton Crossings and its lack of requirements for a grade separated interchange. And then, the next part of this in 2015 happened to be grade separated interchanges for some reason in that location that did make it, at least from what I can find in one presentation to the traffic impact program, tip to the LVPC, LVTS, but after that, there was no requirement of the town center. There's been no requirement with the tax increment financing that was given by the township for public improvements to address a grade separated interchange. It wasn't then included in the 2018 209 study for just the clover leaf, but not anything on Kressler Road and the 78 side. So I can't speak to that historical perspective about why those requirements weren't set then at that point.
Yeah, I can't either. I just, and it does come back to me a little, but the traffic since then has doubled, and it's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if it triples there. And when it was only a third of half of what it is today, there was a concern then. And anyway, I owed Wes a response to that. I said 12 years. Here's 11 years.
Thanks for the clarification. It seemed like it was important to bring that up.
Well, it is. It is when I sit here and I just went blank. And,
Great. But at the end of the day, am I correct in saying we have no jurisdiction?
That's correct. It's a state roadway, and and as I continued and expressed to PennDOT, knowing that is a
I was good with just a no.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Nope.
all right, any more questions? Julie, you're writing back there. I'm looking your way. I don't want to get in trouble looking over there. But last night you were waving at me a lot. I don't know what I guess the mic. Okay, moving on. Department reports.
Let me just hit one thing real quick, and I have a couple other things here. Just an update on the conflict solicitor. We have that out, accepting proposals until March 9th. We'll do the same with the rec plan proposals. We'll evaluate those, see if we can get a recommendation to the board. So I would think at least another 2 months, and then we should be in a good position on that part. So projects we're moving forward on some things. Road projects for the base repair and the mill and overlay is out. We're accepting those until March 16th. We'll have those at the March workshop for an April 2nd award consideration. We also then have the fog seal program and the regular tar and chip that will be following that. So 2 more bids coming on that side. Our stormwater lining project, we're still working on that scope. We're there, and we'll have that ready to go out. Sanitary sewer, same. The website, we're currently in update mode. Hopefully that'll roll out here in a couple months. Ms. Flexer is handling that. Public Works and Parks and Rec, we're working on some signage for trailheads and township parks, most notably Kratzer. So we're ready with a nice marking system for that trail when it opens this summer. We're working on the Wascosville tennis court lights, or the softball field lights, as well as the Wascosville tennis court resurfacing that's going to happen this year. All of our Public Works equipment and vehicles are ordered. After reviewing the spec, we think we'll start to see those with sometime summer delivery with a late late fall on the larger trucks that we have to build out, like the dump trucks. Our audit starts next week. To those board members that will need to talk to the auditor, we'll make sure that that happens next Thursday before the meeting. East Texas on the playground, we'll have a start in there on a June timeframe for Public Works to get the site ready with a July start to build for the playground.
Quick question on the playground.
Mm-hmm.
The current playground is very shaded by trees. Is the new one going to still have the shading, or is it going to be a little farther over?
So it actually is going to be relocated a little farther over towards that open area. With that, we were concerned about roots lifting that curb as well as the surface. So we wanted to get it out of that part of there. So, yeah. And then we're grinding yard waste starting this week. So tomorrow and Wednesday. So if anybody's interested to see the grinding process, you can stop over at the Public Works facility, and they'll let you see all of the events that go with it.
Is it still a sellout crowd?
It will be a sellout crowd,
Yeah, I
probably.
figured
Standing room only.
Yeah.
So that's all I have unless there's questions for me and anybody else that has a department report.
What food trucks are going to be there?
Just one comment. Our conflict solicitor, John, I seen him, and he's doing well. He's doing good.
And Ms. Flexer did send him a thank you letter on behalf of the township for his service.
Okay, moving on. Now departmental reports. Doug.
I don't really have much tonight since Bruce pretty much said everything about all the projects that Public Works is doing. But yeah, we will be grinding starting tomorrow. And I do have the list of roads, if anybody wants the list of roads that we will be hot mixing, hopefully when the bids come in. If there are any questions, let me know.
I did read it unless Bruce went over to, when did he expect the Kratzer Farm mobilization to start back up?
Whenever the weather breaks.
Pardon?
Whenever the weather breaks in spring.
When the weather breaks.
When it quits snowing.
The fishing pier is still, I think at least the end of March, I believe they said tentative that it would be built from the manufacturer. So we got another, 5-6 weeks just on that part. So.
All right. I don't know if anybody noticed the water is really low. In the rivers and stuff. It was low, and when that snow came and the melt and it came back up, it's just amazing the fluctuation of the levels. I called my friend up and I told him I didn't see it this low, and I told Vince that the other day, in 30 years. And then the next day, Vince, I looked out, it was coming over the banks. It just changes so much lately. All right, is that it, Bruce?
I have one report yet.
Vince, you weren't on the list.
All right, yeah, thank
Unless
you.
I missed you.
No, that's okay, just under departments. But I have no formal report tonight for the township. But since our township planner, Nathan, has flown in from Florida, I'd like to ask him just to give the board a little update on what he's working on, some mapping, some other projects, and some grant updates. So you may see some resolutions coming in front of you at the business meeting. So I'll have like to ask Nathan to give a little update tonight.
Happy to. Thank you, Mr. Tringuch. So just for the board's edification, it is getting to be grant season. We do have aggressive grant applications that we put out every year. We have grants for the DCED, DCNR, and PennDOT that we always generally look at in partnership with Public Works as well as the Recreation Department. So we will be looking at the Greenways Grant, the C2P2 Grant, which is the Community Conservation Partnerships Program Grant, and then of course multimodal, which we received award for just this past year as well. We're continuing to work with working on our trail connectivity for existing trails, identifying gaps and filling those in, and making application to do that, as well as new trails. Last year we submitted for a new trail system at the Kratzer Farm Park. We're still looking at that as an option. We do have a long-term goal of a bridge over the creek, particularly over by Spring Creek Road, for a pedestrian and cycle bridge that would provide a very necessary, basically fill in the gap to two trail networks and get people across the creek. So we're going to be putting in for that. And then we had great success last year, and we're continuing to work with the township engineer as well as Public Works Department for our continued drive to try and get ADA ramps and crosswalks at existing intersections in existing neighborhoods that might be have been constructed prior to those requirements being put in place as part of SALDO. So we have a number of those that will be going in from our most recent award, and we're looking to kind of take the next step this year as well. So all in all, we'll be submitting a fair number of grants, which will mean a fair number of resolutions coming to the board for basically your permission to apply and commitment for matching funds and whatnot as well. So look for those in the coming months, and I'll continue to give updates as we move forward with submitting those. Additionally, we're working with the township engineer in the GIS department on some mapping, particularly for trails, sidewalks, crosswalks, and then potentially even easements where it'll help us identify further gaps. So that's a long-term project. And we have been, to Vince's point, and I just go back and note, the Planning Commission meeting will be on March 10th. The Planning Commission has been working on some ordinance work, in particular, some particular uses, data centers. So they will be discussing that, but we'll also be discussing our official map. We have been working on an update to the official map to reflect the acquisitions that the township made in the last year for our aggressive open space and agricultural preservation efforts. So those will be on the update, and we will have a draft for the board to review on that as well moving forward. It'll make its first appearance at the Planning Commission in 2 weeks. So I'm happy to take any questions, but as you can see, we have a number of items in the cooker that will be coming your way in the near future.
If I could just tag on for the official map part, we may have to ask you for some executive sessions with respect to the official map because it does involve acquisition of real property and determining whether there's things you want to purchase. So in the coming weeks and months, as Nathan's working on that, we would then talk to you guys about the specific properties and what the targets are potentially, so that they can be added to the map during that process.
And we are ready for those discussions with the board. So just to let you know, or whenever you have a chance for an update, maybe even next week for an executive post meeting, if it works out for everybody, that way we can have that discussion.
Okay. Nate, you mentioned a bridge at Spring Creek. Where's that location?
That's in the area of the previous proposed bridge. You may remember.
I do remember.
That area down by the bottom of Mill Creek.
I remember.
Yeah. It ended up being, just for the rest of the board, originally upon my arrival, there was plans for a bridge. There was some grant funding. That grant funding with its requirements pushed the cost of that bridge to like $900,000. We went and worked on our concept here to maybe change grant funding streams to a different vehicle. We're hopeful it still might be around, $400,000 to $500,000 on that component, but we think it's a key piece of that connection to the neighborhood and then Mill Creek. So
I'm assuming it's a completely different design then.
Correct.
Yeah. That's all the questions I got for Nate. Any more? Okay, any more departmental reports? I don't want to miss, I miss Vince. I don't want to miss anyone else.
No, I have nothing further unless the board has any questions.
All right, public comments on agenda topics. Seeing none, call this board workshop to an end.